Today I will be sharing 5 new casseroles with you, and the best part about these casseroles are they are only 5 ingredients, not including seasonings. So these casseroles are simple to throw together. They're not your average boring bland casserole. I know some casseroles, you make them and you never want to make them again and you never want to eat them again because they're not good. Not for these casseroles. Once you start making them, you'll be making them week after week. Let's get to my kitchen and let's get to casseroling. To kick us off today, we are making this chicken and brown rice casserole. I have my baking dish right here. I sprayed it with nonstick spray. Then I added in 1.5 cups of brown rice. Next, add in 2 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken thighs, or you could use regular chicken breast if you'd prefer to do that. I just like using chicken thighs for this recipe though, just because they come out super tender and super juicy in the end. After you add in your chicken thighs, nobody likes bland rice, so make sure you season this generously. So season it with about 2 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of pepper, 2 teaspoons of onion powder and garlic powder, then 2 teaspoons of paprika and 1 teaspoon of dried oregano. You're not just seasoning the chicken, remember, but you're also seasoning the rice. So the seasonings really make this recipe. After you add your seasonings in there, go ahead and toss in 4 large carrots and don't forget to slice them. Then add in 3 cups of chicken broth. Place 3 tablespoons of sliced butter over the top. Cover this tightly with foil. Bake it in a preheated oven to 365 degrees for about 80 minutes or until the rice is tender. Once the rice is tender, stir in 1 cup of frozen peas. Cover the top again with foil and let it sit for a couple of minutes until those peas are cooked through. Then you could serve this dinner up. Oh man, this is such a winner chicken dinner just because you have your protein, you have your rice, and then you have your veggies cooked all together. So this chicken casserole is so easy to throw together. That chicken is like juicy and tender. The rice is so flavorsome. This one is delicious. Also, you could use different vegetables if you'd like to. This one is 10 out of 10. You have to try it. Now we are making this chili pot pie casserole, and this is not your average casserole. To a pot on the stove, add in 1 pound of ground beef, or you could use ground chicken, ground turkey, or any meat substitute. Break it up and cook that meat through. Once it's cooked through, add in a tablespoon of chili seasoning, and if you don't have chili seasoning on hand, you could use taco seasoning as a substitute. Then add in a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce, followed by a 15-ounce can of mixed chili beans. Give this a stir and let it simmer on your stove for 5 minutes. While it's simmering, I'm getting started on the corn muffin mix. So I just added in 1 box of Jiffy corn muffin mix, or you could use any type of corn muffin mix that you'd like. Then add in the ingredients that the back of the box calls for. Give this a really good stir until it is well combined. Now pull out your baking dish, spray it with nonstick spray, then add that chili mixture right into your baking dish. Spread it out to the best of your ability. Then you're going to add the corn muffin mix over the top. You want to make sure you keep the 2 layers separate, so carefully spread that corn muffin mix out and try not to combine the 2 layers. Bake this in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes or until the corn muffin mix is like golden brown on the top. We topped ours with a little bit of cheese and sour cream. Go ahead and break into that corn muffin topping. This is so good. This is like the most perfect casserole at this time of year. The corn muffin topping mixed with the chili is just so absolutely fantastic. My husband requested breakfast for dinner, so now we are making this hash brown casserole. To a medium-sized bowl, crack 9 eggs right in there. Next, you're going to add in 1/2 cup of milk, then add in 1 cup of cooked bacon bits, or you could use like cooked sausage, mushrooms, bell peppers, really add anything into this that you'd like. Then add in a teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, 1 teaspoon of paprika, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, and garlic powder. This will be very flavorful. Give this a really good whisk to combine the ingredients. Spray a 9x13 baking dish with non-stick spray, just for easy cleanup in the end. Then grab your hash brown patties. I used about 8 of them. Place them side by side to the bottom of your baking dish. Pour the egg mixture over the top and kind of make sure it's spread out. Sprinkle a half a cup of Mexican style cheese over the top if you're a cheese fan like me. Bake this in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for about 30 minutes. We served ours with some salsa on the side, and oh boy, this was the perfect breakfast for dinner. I absolutely love making breakfast for dinner on occasion. It is like super simple to throw together. My entire family loves it, and it's also just super delicious. Now we are making this no-peak chicken, so into my baking dish, I'm adding in 2 cups of uncooked instant white rice. After you add that in there, you're going to add in 1 family-sized can of cream of chicken soup, or you could use any cream of soup, or you could use the homemade version of cream of soup that I have in the back of my cookbook. Next, add in 10 ounces of water and give this a really good stir to combine all of the ingredients. Place a pound of chicken tenderloins over the top of the rice. Then you're going to season the rice with a teaspoon of paprika, a teaspoon of garlic powder, and Italian seasoning. Then what really kicks this recipe up a notch is add 1 packet of Lipton onion soup mix. Just sprinkle it all over the top of the rice and the chicken. Then you're going to cover this tightly with foil. Bake this in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for about 50 minutes or until the rice is tender. This is definitely one of my little one's favorite casseroles of all times. The rice comes out fluffy, the chicken is nice and juicy and delicious. I did serve this with broccolini on the side. I never cook with broccolini just because it's a little bit more expensive than regular broccoli and the taste difference isn't much, but we thought it was really good still. My daughter loves this white chicken spinach lasagna so much, so now that's what we're making. I'm starting out by spraying an 8x8 baking dish with nonstick spray. Next, you're going to add in some of this 22-ounce jar of Alfredo sauce. We'll use all of it for this recipe, but just a little bit for now. I spread it out to the bottom of my baking dish, and now we're going to add about 3 lasagna noodles down. I did have to break the lasagna noodles just a little bit, and I am using the oven-ready lasagna noodles, but if you wanted to boil regular lasagna noodles and then add those, you certainly can. Next, I have 2 cups of chicken total. This is cooked shredded chicken. I added some of that down, and then I added a cup of fresh chopped spinach over the chicken, then a half a cup of shredded mozzarella cheese. Next, I added more of that Alfredo sauce, and then I just repeated this for a second layer. And if you're wondering how I cooked my chicken up, I just cooked mine up in the Instant Pot. I seasoned it with a little bit of Italian seasoning and salt and pepper and just chopped it up from there. But the last thing you are going to be doing is topping this with the cheese, of course. Cover this with aluminum foil, and this will bake in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for about 35 to 45 minutes. Once out of the oven, you will remove the foil and then bake this for an additional 15 minutes. I know most of the time lasagna is not easy to make at all. A lot of the recipes are just super complicated, but that's why I like making this white chicken lasagna for my family, just because it's so easy to throw together. My entire family loves it and gets seconds. I served this alongside of a side salad. Now we're getting started on this pierogi casserole, and this one is for all of my meatless meal friends. To the bottom of my 9x13 baking dish, I'm adding half of a jar of marinara sauce. Spread that marinara sauce out to the bottom of the baking dish, and this recipe is on page 68 in my cookbook. So if you have a cookbook, open it up, and it is in the casserole section. I have 8 different sections in my cookbook, and they're just full of our family's favorite recipes. Also, if you haven't tried the carrot cake, you need to. But anyway, over that marinara sauce, go ahead and add a 16-ounce package of pierogies. Pierogies are so good and they are extremely affordable. If you don't often cook with them, they really are delicious. Pour the remaining marinara sauce over the top. Then you're going to pour a 16-ounce jar of Alfredo sauce over that. Spread it out so the pierogies are covered in the sauce. Then over the top of all the sauce, you're going to sprinkle a half a cup of Parmesan cheese. Cover this tightly with foil and bake it in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for about 40 minutes. Once the time is up, remove the foil and bake it for an additional 15 minutes. The cheese will become like bubbly. I absolutely love making this dinner. It's kind of like a pantry staple dinner. I also served this alongside a side salad with spring mix. I did use a little bit of salad topper on the salad. I do recommend salad topper if you haven't tried it yet. And then tomatoes and Italian dressing. I do get questions like what my little ones eat for dinner. They basically eat the same thing we do. And then instead of a salad, they just had carrot sticks and tomatoes. I have so many more videos like this on my channel, so make sure you're subscribed and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.